On one side of the pitch, a tournament giant expecting a deep run. On the other, a nation playing for their tournament lives. Tonight, the lights are on at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. 90 minutes of football here will decide the fate of two vastly different teams. The pressure surrounding this match is grounded in the reality of the Group I standings. Norway is currently dominating the top spot after a 4-1 clinic over Iraq, while France sits comfortably in second, leaving the Lions of Mesopotamia stranded at the very bottom. For Didier Deschamps and his French squad, a win tonight essentially punches their ticket to the newly introduced round of 32. If Graham Arnold's Iraqi squad drops this match, they are officially eliminated from the tournament. We are past the point of feeling out the group stage. This is a direct collision between a roster built to win the World Cup and a team fighting to survive it. France arrived in North America with a single objective: ranked third in the world by FIFA and carrying the experience of reaching the last two World Cup finals, their roster operates like an all-star team. Even so, they showed a brief flash of vulnerability in their opener against Senegal, walking into the locker room at halftime completely deadlocked at 0-0. In the final 45 minutes, they ruthlessly corrected course. They utilized blinding speed and direct passing to overwhelm the Senegalese defense, finishing the game with a commanding 3-1 victory. Opponents trying to outlast them defensively run into a wall because France can constantly rotate world-class attackers like Bradley Barcola and Marcus Thuram off the bench. They simply don't need to conserve any energy. They are operating as a finely tuned machine, equipped to physically run over the competition for a full 90 minutes. Contrast that with the Lions of Mesopotamia. Stepping onto the pitch in this tournament marks their very first World Cup appearance since 1986. Ranked 57th globally, they survived a grueling, record-breaking gauntlet of qualifiers just to get here, carrying the intense pride of an entire nation. That pride met a harsh reality in their opening match. They took a heavy 4-1 hit against Norway, simply outmatched by raw physical speed. Yet the Iraqi squad is actively drawing inspiration from earlier in the tournament, where Cabo Verde managed a 0-0 draw against Spain. That result proved that a massive talent deficit can be neutralized with the right strategy. France's 4-2-3-1 formation lets Adrien Rabiot and Manu Koné anchor the midfield, freeing explosive wingers to push up the pitch. This creates a trap. If Iraq sits in a passive, deep defensive block, the French will pick them apart. They must force quick counterattacks. The depth of the French attack is personified by Bradley Barcola. Against Senegal, he came off the bench and scored his first ever World Cup goal 2 minutes later, making him the ultimate spark plug on the wing. Iraq's counterattacking hopes rest almost entirely on the shoulders of Aymen Hussein. He scored their only goal against Norway, and he remains the required target man for any upset attempt. But the biggest variable on the field is Kylian Mbappé. Following his 2-goal performance in the opener, he is playing his individual pursuit of history. With 14 career tournament goals, he sits exactly 2 goals shy of the all-time World Cup scoring record held by Miroslav Klose and Lionel Messi. Because of that looming milestone, the pressure is elevated. Every single time Mbappé touches the ball, a new page in the football record books is on the line. A win in Philadelphia requires a specific brand of execution from both managers. For France, the requirement is simple: dominate early possession. If they use their raw attacking depth to smother Iraq in the opening minutes, they will prevent the underdog from ever settling into a defensive rhythm. For Iraq, it requires absolute defensive discipline. To survive the inevitable onslaught, they will need a career-defining performance from their goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet. The match ultimately hinges on whether that early French pressure shatters the Iraqi defense, or if the Lions can absorb the blows long enough to find an opening for a lethal counter. Looking at percent chance of winning, leaving a tiny 3% sliver for an Iraqi upset. Major sports analysts and odds makers are universally aligned on this one, with outlets like Sports Illustrated calling for a 4-0 blowout. I have to agree with the odds makers. France simply has too much firepower for an upset. I'm predicting a decisive 3-0 victory for the French, with Mbappé securing his name at the top of the record books. 90 minutes of football separates the expectations of a powerhouse from the dreams of an underdog. Drop your score predictions in the comments below, And make sure to subscribe to follow along with every major match of the 2026 World Cup.